Hey everyone, welcome back to my spoiler territory podcast. It's been about 2 months. There hasn't been much stuff going on. I will point out that Legends of Tomorrow ended, right? So they got cancelled, unfortunately. So I'm going to. I was thinking about doing a video on saying my final thoughts on that. I feel like it'll make more sense if I do it here. That way I'll give you more content that way instead of putting it on the channel. Will get lost, you know what I mean? Plus, it's also from DC Comics, so the DC Comics stuff is mostly here. So I already done the spoiler territory episodes on the Armageddon event thing. You can see that in the description or comment section. I'll leave it there. It's part of season 8. Apparently, they added more episodes. My original plan was to review just about 13 episodes worth of stuff, but now it's about 20 or something like that. So I thought it'd be better if I just do half this time because it's a lot. I don't want to jump through so many things. I feel like if I do that, I'll miss on so much detail. I may also do that here because it's a lot of episodes. I feel like doing this way is better than reviewing it episode by episode that I did with the season 7 and below that one in my second channel, because it's the writing is basically the same. It's that I'll tell you that it's the same. It feels the same. I mean, it would feel boring if I just do it episode by episode. So instead of just doing it this way, it's a lot better. So episode 6, we see that there's a big trust of the Armageddon at the time, and the Godspeed fight. The timeline changes, and then as we see Noah and Bart there. Notice that Jay is alive and he's married to another lady named Rose, and they're trying to figure out what's going on, and they have to save Joe from a bullet. So that's what Joe wants to do, and then we see that Joe wants to be with Cecile, and it's set around New Year's Eve 2002. I feel like it's 2013, 2014. I mean, not New Year's Eve. So it's not weird that Cecile's been in Joe's life for that long. Yeah, but apparently we didn't know that. So yeah, we see that the flush gain that we saw from a couple episodes ago, that they were involved here. No one involved on the Star Labs Museum, going through computer stuff and then trying to find a bunch of things that we see, like things that we're familiar with, like things that happened in Central City, and like things that happened within the Arrowverse. And we see that there's a guy saying there's a photo of a guy named Booster Gold, and that's the guy from Legends of Tomorrow. If you guys watch that episode in the very end, you know who that is. And if you read the comic books, you also may know who that is. So originally that was supposed to be like a little differently. I feel like because of the pandemic day, I feel like they switched the time the show was around. So I didn't. This was supposed to be his first appearance, but then he was supposed to be on Legend. We heard afterwards. So then they learned that this heist gets to happen, and they bought and no one wants to fix it, and they have to learn that they figure out that the heist has to happen as long as no one gets killed with the stuff. The flush gain is, well, their plan was to kill people in the casino, the heist thing. So Bart and Noah had to then figure out a plan to stop the killing from happening. So that's when they worked on, and then they have to learn things about quantum. And then in this episode, we were introduced to a character named Avery, and you may know from Disney Channel. That I think, what show was she on? I think My Bed. Right? I don't know. I think that's her. But yeah, she was on Disney Channel back then. So, and then we learned that for the episode, her and Bart were like getting along, and he basically made out with her in the ending of the episode, and that was so unrealistic and too fast. I don't know. Wow, they did it like that. So it makes it not so realistic in that way. So if we learned that Bart and Noah they're able to save everyone, which just that the Flash again had bombs in the tunnels, not tunnels, but in the basement of the casino, and then Noah was able to find all five of them and put them up in the air, and then fireworks happened, and that was able to cause fireworks during New Year's. So yeah, then we see go back to the present day where we see we learned that Kanan is dating some guy named Guy, and we don't know his name yet. And Iris and Barry and the family they all draw out. And then there's a hairbrush that Iris used and it disappeared. So that was a real way of doing things. And yeah, so the episode was actually really nice. When I see it done, we saw a lot of Easter eggs when the arrows were never known, but were going through all these things. And we actually saw Eddie in this episode and seen him like before he knew Barry, you know what I mean? It was before Barry. It was like this happened when Barry was in a coma after the lightning strike. So yeah, I really enjoyed that. I just feel like the thing with Avery and Bart was a little too fast. That's the last we see of her, you know, for now at least. We go to episode 7 when present day is after Armageddon, you know what I mean? So Chester is like really hungry, so he wants to eat, and he sees a leg and he's trying to do all these things with his job, and also wants to find time to eat, which he doesn't. And then we see that Flash is actually doing amazing with his powers. He just grab all three of the there's like three people who like causing crime in Central City, so he's able to grab all three of them and take them to the police custody with Kramer in there, and apparently that didn't really work so well because Kramer and the officers have no idea why they were tuned in or anything like that. So they saved it, barely saved the day, but it just that it wasn't the right. It made stuff like this made some sense, and I really admired that they actually making things a little realistic. Just I feel like yes, Barry did a lot of things, but I feel like what would have been better is if Barry said to Kramer, this person did this person did that, and this person was involved in this. I feel like all of Barry to just or Flash could just write a note on them and saying what they did. I don't know, it's just idea. So then, even also in the end of it, eventually, you will have a Flash phone. I mean, not in this episode, but eventually, yeah. And that was something that I was thinking about, like, what if there's not Flash phone or any communication of Kramer, then we would get that eventually. So yeah, that's really interesting. So Kalen is seriously dating someone, and then there's like a bunch of smoke within CCPD, and then it's Goldface, the dude from a couple episodes back when Barry and Ralph were doing a mission to get the dude, against the dude. So yeah, Goldface recognizes Barry because he was the chemist. Yeah, and he wants to find the meta-human anti-bullets. Basically, those things can make any meta-human human. In other words, cause a lot of damage to the point where no one can stop Goldface from doing what he can from what he wants. But Grimmer has the bullets somewhere else and won't tell Goldface where they are. So yeah, it's dealing with this episode that are dealing with Kramer and Barry trying to figure out what to do, and they had no communication. Barry had no communication of anyone in Star Labs because the cell phone service got destroyed. This episode with Frost and Caitlin there. Caitlin's with the dude, and Frost is with her boyfriend Showplane, and they're trying to get along with each other. I feel like Caitlin doesn't get along with she'll play this. She sees that Frost is doing every possible things and going like on wild adventures and something that really makes kind of Frost upset with each other throughout the episode. So yeah, just makes they eventually get along and had that much there, and we see that she'll play is actually a really good guy once you get to know him. So also keep in mind during all this thing happening in CCPD where Kramer has powers, and I mean she can basically have Goldface's power, and her powers cause her bracelet the bracelet that Goldface gave her and Barry said they want to use, that they want to get away or anything like that. So Barry has this idea where she didn't take down Goldface, but she won't do it because she felt like she won't be able to control her power, and I feel like she can control powers there because in a way no one can teach her. Eventually they find a way to save the day and escape and save everyone who was inside the CCPD, and also she immediately understands that his daddy, because he was in another room and he was able to run fast. So yeah, that was really interesting. Just everybody's such wanna just show everybody you see the daddy Barry. Yeah, that's how it looks like. Overall, this episode I really enjoyed. I feel like there's a lot of things that Barry and Kramer did a lot amazing teamwork there, and let's learn a little bit more about Kramer there, and we see that the Goldface dude that just one of those meta human bullets, but honestly he's not that bad he's not that type of bad guy, you know what I mean? Yeah, and then we let's learn a bit more about Frost and Keenan and Showplane, and so that was a really a nice way of doing things. And then in the end of the episode we see that Iris is fun, is relaxing, and things that are disappearing around her, and then her eyes are like glowing, and so yeah, we see that she was talking to Joe, and then he went upstairs, and then he came from another, like, yeah, entered from outside, so I was just wondering why that is, so, and we were wondering why that is too, and so, yeah, that's something interesting, so, yeah, that episode was alright. Alright, so episode 8, I feel like it's really, I was just talking to Barry, and she's trying to avoid certain things because she noticed that the calendar and said it's Henry's birthday and Barry's father that Zoom killed, so. And then we see that there was an attack in the bar, and then there's meta-human with fire powers named Jaco Burge, right? He's involved in all these things of he may be involved all these things, so there's something that the trying people in the CCPD are trying to figure out, and we see that Allegra is in the central, she's working in the Central City Citizen thing, and she's at in a way like the supervisor, and then she's just trying to like find an interview. Well, she's basically trying to just competing with like her other employees. You know what I mean? So Iris wants to have a really good story, and she in a way ends up choosing she prefers Taylor's arc, which is that Taylor she's at employee of an CCPD, but then I was stressed with like a story because she's a little put a lot every day, and I realized it's nice for Allegra, but honestly, like if I was one the good story, should have put the good story, you know what I mean? So I don't know, I'm just thinking about that. So what the story is that Allegra had was just talking to this girl in Jeddah named Linda, so and they were friends from when Allegra was in Iron Heights, and I I feel like I don't recall Allegra being part of Iron Heights or anything like that, but and it never mentioned Linda character, and even so, that character wouldn't shadow. So I feel like, and but I feel like she mentioned to the girl that it was she recently started there. So I don't know, it just feels a bit weird with all these things. And then with the stuff of Barry trying to figure out what's going on, and he sees that Giorgio was like, upset that he didn't do the killings, and then and he's with his son, and the cops take him away, and then Barry has this flashback about him and Henry, and everything. So that's something that really upsets Barry to the point where he wants to reveal us all to find out if Jocko is innocent, and they eventually figure out that as much as he wants to do that for Jocko, Jocko's not doing it's not really helping Barry either because Jocko escapes, and then he has to confront all the employees who was at the bar that night. So yeah, he's not really been useful, honestly. And Barry has to do all this himself because the rest of the Team Flash disagrees with him, so that's something that he has to do on his own. Yeah, overall, I really love that Barry's really committed to all this, and he's doing this for to honor his dad and everything. And I really enjoyed seeing. I feel like Jotaro should have taken a few steps back from not making things worse. There's like a lot of things going on there, and then ending the episode where like Jotaro and Barry and Frost, they're like trying to find Jocko. Right? His emotions made the Central City roads that have lava, and we see the lava in one shot, and then the road clean in the other, and then that this continuity thing that I noticed that made me feel like, why is this show? Yeah, but then we learned that confusion is one of the things that happen with is how they burned, and he was able to control his powers, and that the dude Jack was able to control his powers, and then we see that Team Flash is learning that there's a metal serial killer on the loose, so that's something you have to figure out. So this episode was really nice. I really enjoyed most of it. That's it. The team had to do their own thing, and Barry had to take charge and do things on his own. So that was really fun seeing Barry do all these things for himself. We're in episode 9, and we feel like that stuff that we learned about Iris is that she's going through time sickness because of the timeline within her is really odd with her. And then back in Saw Labs, we see that Chester is zoning out, and whenever he looks at the photos of the victims and that the black flames that happen, that whenever he sees the photos of them, he sees them in a way that he feels upset. We don't know why yet, and then we know that Sue Dearborn returns, and she tells Barry and Iris that black holes are gone. How exactly? I don't know. She just does that. There's a human who can walk through walls, and Iris was informed by that by Sue, and Ledger was about to go, but Iris decides that she should be the one to go, so which is really useful, which is a great idea, just assuming what I was to go through later. We see there's a meta-human attack, and then for some reason Barry is late, so the dude runs really fast is late to a crime scene, so do that with what you will. And then when Barry is with Chester, talking to each other in a crime scene, because Barry's a CSI dude, so they talked about the Flash and stuff like that, and that's still near like the other crime investigators. Is that not bad? I feel like isn't he supposed to keep things in hush hush? So then we see that the Flash has that face powers, and he's able to use this MCCU thing. Is it a Palmer technology thing? Just remember that Ray Palmer was in the crossover in the beginning of the Armageddon thing. So he's able to use the device that he made to trap the black flames. Apparently, with the drop things that happened. But yeah, they have a device for that thing. But overall, it's not a good video. Anyways, here's the routine. Iris and Sue, they have a MetaHuman app and crashed. First of all, who made the app? Is it Sol Labs? And did anyone download it? It just feels so weird how this show is bringing up things that feels like it'd be dangerous for the heroes and useful for the bad guys. Anyways, the human who can walk through walls. Her name is Tinia, and she's not really on. She just has just an interest in being around Sue and Iris, and we see that Barry's he's that we're communicating with Kramer, even though Kramer isn't in this episode. It shows that Barry's putting effort in informing her, so I really appreciate that, at least for that. And Shazir is seeing a bunch of things, a gun, and he feels upset, and he sees a black fire blast, and it turns out it was his dream. And then it was real. Another one, I liked was Seal, and Frost was around him. So that's something that's really all that they were able to do. All that's happening, and their Team Flash is wondering how this happening remotely. It's just if you that they can't feel the heat or the cold, or the temperature is the same. Basically, that's why they're wondering if this happens to, if that black flame does sustain remotely. In other words, being controlled somewhere else by someone else. Iris talks to Tina girl after they find her by an alley. They learn that she has a mom who basically abandoned her. Back to Sol Labs, we see that just sees a ghost of this guy who was like his dad, and who was in the real world. His dad's dead, so I feel that the Seal can feel pain from thousands, and the reason why I'm saying quote is because if she feels like pain from thousands of people, shouldn't she really feel that having a head? She's just trauma. She casually feels that as if it's happening all the time. I mean, so that's been a bit weird that they have it be like that. That's that she should like physically be outraged. I mean, she's feeling so much emotions within so little time. Shazir basically was almost being sucked into joining the black flame, and Shazir pulls through, and then he sends the dude packing, basically. So the Team Flash thinking about that maybe it's a grief pattern to survive, and basically almost anyone who experiences grief to be faced with this creature, and the flames are the killer, and it's still alive. So that's something that they're trying to figure out. And we see that Iris has to be at in Coast City because things are out of her time sickness. This episode was all over the place, but it was okay. I feel like they drove explain more about the MetaHuman app, and yeah, and they should have discussed. I feel like Sue should have told them, what exactly she did to make the black hole organization disappear. Right, episode 10, we see that Ghost City is where Iris is at, and Dion patches Iris, and he's at the Still Force dude, and he's by patches he means was able to see where she is at with with her sitting in the process making art, and her placing the black fire had Roberts from the painting. It feels really weird for Barry for us to see all that happen so fast. And then next day we see that Frost goes to Carla, which is Karen's mom, which is also technically her mom, and she wants to Frost wants to be used as bait, and that's when that Barry disagrees with because of the unknown dangers that would happen while there was a team on Carla and them to recalibrate the ASF thing, and I'm trying on Barry's side here because I feel like they don't know what they're dealing with, and Barry wants to be more focused on this thing, and he wants to see why he did all the way they all this unknown creature. Because they just face him, just wild. Also, it's not like they know everything about this creature or they know how they haven't learned much about it. They'll have demons that Barry's pretty much telling the team we haven't even learned the basics of this creature yet, and the team's a little just the team just wants to try something, and I understand what they're doing from. I understand that they want to try things new and different, but they're going about this the wrong way. I feel like they should have put more research on or waited until to see what would happen, and waiting is something that Frost doesn't want to do because this is what anyone else heard. It was just understandable, so I understand a lot of sides here why the team is really well, even though the team is they're in a way that I feel like they're communicating also there, which is also they're communicating to the point where they find their own way, their own path. So for us is doing one thing, team is doing the other, Flash is doing something else. So yeah, a lot of things there. Barry doesn't want anyone to get hurt, and including Frost, and Frost tells the team to get started on the project that they are planning on. They end up not really listening to Barry here. Frost speaks to Barry on the fact that stuff that's happening to Frost is in a way similarly happening to Iris, where Iris is in danger. Just when she draws danger, and we don't know what's happening, and to the point where Barry, they understand that Barry would obviously aiming for Iris, which is understandable as his wife, but in terms to Frost, it's in a similar situation. According to Frost, it's that Barry favors Iris more than Frost here, so that's something that she points out, and of course most of the plan fails, and then Kenan gets really mad at Frost, and back with Iris and Sue, we see that they're trying to figure out how to contact Tinia's mom, trying to contact someone, and the Sherman dude of that building, and calls for a favor. At first I thought she was like making a fake call. After I feel like when a woman answered, I felt like it's real, but maybe it could be Ralph. Recording all this, not being like his voice, you know what I mean? The voice of the dude, even though they have no idea how the dude sounds like. And then they leave, and then the lady in the front desk goes somewhere else for a little bit, and I don't know where the room just disappears, because that's where Iris was. So in this episode, we see it shows that Iris curious about a lot about what's going on with the girl and so that's when I realized that Iris was actually doing there, and then Frost still doesn't listen to Caitlin, and this Caitlin's trying to tell Frost about values, about how things are with being part of a mission that's deadly to lead to consequences, and how sometimes it's okay to not do so much, you know what I mean? So, and then Joe approaches Barry and tells him to let go of the leader mindset, and I see where it's coming from, but I feel he's the leader of the Team Flash. He's supposed to take charge, and I don't know, it just feels a little bit odd about that way how it's all. So I'm a little up and up with that. Yeah, Carla, which is Karen's mom, so her mom tries to Frost, but all these things, and I don't know where she says that she has ice powers and that that's just so weird. And then the teenage girl finds her mom gets to Ira again and sees she feels Ronnie because she it's like she's about to be attacked from the black flame, but it's not really attacking. It's just speaking to Kaylin about something that she's familiar with, something that Ronnie said to her back then, and which makes it I feel like it's Ronnie within the black flame, which in this episode, so yeah, interesting episode. Just not much knowing there. I feel like Barry had really had to take charge there, and Frost had to really listen, and he just doing off her own way. And I'll definitely talk about Frost later. For if you know, so episode 11, 3 more episodes left, and then where it ends. And we flashback to when Kayla and Ronnie first met in Star Labs, just he was working on the pipes and burned himself, and then back in Coast City, Tanya is mad at Iris, and Iris has a headache because Tanya is mad because she basically they found him, Tanya's mom, and then Iris basically made her disappear, and then so then that's something that really pisses her off. And then Blackfire is Ronnie apparently, and are going to Caitlin, and she tells the team, and there's something they learn about what happened to him when he was Firestone, but similarity, which is a deadly thing that happened, and so his biological matter brought down, but he's still alive by his energy, so which makes sense to see the energy to live, you know what I mean, within the body, and then the brain flooded, like the ACTH thing with grief, and I feel like that's something with the first they're trying to find out a way to use a splicer for it to work, and then the team remembers they even recorded some had a CEM ship device that then helped them out of that, and then we learned something about that. Can I learn something about markers, and that something that is really interesting that they are all that way. Basically, Taylor wants Marcus to break up because she doesn't want to put him in danger, and he just agrees eventually. Then Chester is out doing he's streaming to his audience, and he's building like this device on how to save the team, and obviously then he's telling his audience what to do, but then Ledra and I didn't say Ledra of Kaylin tells him that building that in front of people can be dangerous. Their enemies should learn how to do that. So yeah, out of nowhere, he just closes the computer. He doesn't say goodbye, and that really shook me. I was like, what? You know what I mean? So that's really weird that that's just things like that. I don't think a real streamer would ever just close the computer like that. He didn't even type goodbye or anything, or wave anything. He just like press a button and just ignore them. And out of nowhere, so that was really odd in that way. That I was thinking about that episode, that part, for a really long time. Yeah. So Cecile feels Ronnie in a way, because she feels that Ronnie wants death, you know what I mean? So basically, she feels that, no pun intended, that Ronnie wants to die because he's unable to have his phone back, and then Kaylin doesn't listen to Barry. when he did back then. When it comes to being a part of the, and she doesn't listen to Barry's advice, and then things happen with. In the meantime, we saw that Iris tries to sue, wants to keep her safe, and Tina is just, she's mad now that she cares about other people like Sue to put others at risk. So yeah, that makes Tina really mad. So she faces Iris and makes her disappear out of nowhere and threatens Sue. So that's something weird. And then they have that scene with the spear that we've been talking about for this episode, about how it can help trap the dude, trap the black flame, and yeah, we see that moment. We see flashbacks of Kanan and Ronnie at Port when they decide to be engaged, and Frost felt pain when Ronnie died in that way, and then that's when we saw a flashback of Kanan becoming Frost, So Barry uses the spear, Frost uses the ball, and then she saved him, and she saved Ronnie, and then we see that Cecile wonders why her powers are off in some way, and then Barry does a phone call from Sue saying that Iris is missing, and we know that Ronnie is powerful enough, and he's Deathstorm now, so he's the Ronnie turned into Deathstorm, and that's where the episode ends, and yeah. Just that they don't just do it, that was that out of nowhere, that was really weird. I feel like they're understanding ways to see now they learn more about him, and now they're able to figure out ways to save the team and everything. So I love that. Alright, so episode 12 we see that Deathstorm is basically twinning Kanan and not twinning but talking to Kanan, and Cecile feels hurt within Barry, so she feels that Barry's hurt, not that she's hurt. Yeah, that Iris is missing, but she's back apparently, and then she learns with Dion that she can't see her future for some reason. Is there some hint that she's going to be killed off, or aka not being in that season, or anything like that? Who knows for now. So then things happen when CCPD they shut down because they was able to do so much. I feel like this is a lot of things that going on. David and they learned that Cecile was the key, basically she can help people with their emotions, and Dion puts a tracker on Iris in a way that it tries to see how she is and where she is and the speed force and everything. So, and then he oddly disappears. Not like no way he usually disappears, but Dion disappears as if he had no control of disappearing. So that's a bit odd with that. We see that Deathstorm is with Cecile, and she is really upset, and Allegra sees her cousin Esperanza, and Iris starts to glitch over there, and Joe tells Barry that he's prepared for anything, but then Frost gets hit with her power, of Deathstorm's powers, and then Deathstorm touches Caitlin, and they're not ready yet, so then basically Ronnie, as Deathstorm, wants Caitlin to be her bride, and we learned that he was at dimension happening. He was happy through dimensions, and maybe that's why it took so long for Ronnie to communicate back to Kanan and the rest of Team Flash for so long, because maybe that it took so many years for within the dimensions to go through, you know what I mean? So, and then basically the Troll Fusion match thing in a way helps Frost, and because she's able to, she's not, in a way not real. She is real but not real at the same time, and she learns that when the vet did. What I mean by that is that she is able to, she's able to be the Mac can help Frost with her powers and help her. She's able to use all that to stop Death Zone with confusion, and then we see that Iris is, sees Eddie, and that's what the episode ends. Episode 12 was a little basic, but I did enjoy it. When I saw it, it just feels like there wasn't too much that happened in that episode, to me at least. However, I did enjoy the stuff with Frost and why she is who she is, and how she ended up using the Mac to work. So in episode 13, we see that Sue sees Eddie, and there's more grief stuff with Gideon that's going on and within her, and then we learn that Barry talks to Gideon, and remember that Barry shut off Gideon. He basically destroyed her when the Armageddon crossover Armageddon event happened. However, after that, they eventually changed the timeline there so that Gideon's alive. So that in a way made sense. Death Zone shows only the loved ones to the team, and then so Barry sees Noah, a woman who was Barry's mom, and then we see that Gideon's dad. I basically didn't give Frost any emotions, no grief or pain, and then we see that Noah is talking to Barry about the fact that Iris is going to die, and then the team's grief can make Kaylin strong enough to be bride basically. Mark, who's that show Blaine, he brings out the more fire so Frost can become the anti-death storm, and then we see that Justin and Allegra are trapped, and then Barry, accepts Noah's death, and I feel like that's a really strong thing for Barry to overcome throughout the years, and it's not easy for him, so it's not something to be like, I like that, but it feels like it's something that he had to do on his own, and we understand that in a way. I understand that Barry chooses that way. He accepts Noah's death. That's a lot for him. We see that quote Eddie shows loved ones to Joe and Sue, and one who won't have any faces or anything like that. But Joe was there with Sue, talking to Iris and seeing what's going on, and then the Eddie dude just made things emotional, roller coaster for all of them. The Mac didn't really work on Frost, and so it's because she feels that she's not real. She doesn't feel like she has a real soul, and Mark tells Frost how to be the anti-death storm and feel a soul in a way, and then which does work eventually, and then we see that so all the grief is happening to our character such as Allegra, and she sees Esperanza, and she basically tells her that Allegra to have a future with Chester, and Barry, and out of nowhere feels pain because Death Zone dude is causing so much damage, emotional damage to them, and Frost talks to Kaylin about how she feels, and then she becomes anti-Death Storm, and she's able to save Kaylin, and then Frost passes out, and then we see that Iris is back in Star Labs, but overall we see that Barry and Kaylin are trying to save Frost, and she's trying to save her, and then out of nowhere, the wave is upsetting that Frost dies, but what's not upsetting is the way she did. She was like, she just opened her eyes out of nowhere. Like, the way she did, I don't know. I don't know why they did that. It just feels so off. They drove that other Arrowverse depths were so drastic and damaging, and they made like I don't know why that that was the way it is. But yeah, we see that Killian tells was a team flash that Frost died, and they were sobbing, and Killian really takes it really hard. That was like a part of her. That was like her sister. So that's something that was really upsetting. And yeah, overall, this episode was I really good one. Actually, I really enjoyed a lot of things. When we see that when Frost did have a soul in a way, and yeah, it's upsetting to see her go, and we'll see what's gonna happen later. I don't think it's to be. I don't know if they'll bring her back to life or not. That I don't know. I feel they do. You know how these shows are. Yeah. Overall, this season so far, it's okay. Nothing. It's not. It doesn't have me the edge of my seat like it did back then. They only had like, no one involved for a little bit in the beginning of the season, and then Eddie was brought back. Or not really, but Eddie was brought back to portray Eddie in some ways. So that was really nice. It's nice to know that Flash still has Gideon and just everyone did said about Iris and things that I feel like Sue was really helpful with Iris. I've seen another character not really involved with Team Flash help Iris. So it's really nice that she was there. So overall, hopefully you guys enjoyed this. I feel like the show was this season is a little bit interesting. By the time you guys are watching this, is episode 14 is already out, and I haven't watched it yet. I just want to really focus on this, so on the 13 episodes, on episode 6 through 13. So yeah, that's next episode. Next time I talk about the Flash, it'll be episode 14 of season 8. So hopefully I'll enjoy this video. I'll see all of you very soon. Thanks so much for watching or listening. You can listen to my podcast on Anchor or iTunes, or and yeah, just follow me on Twitter, or you'll see like when I post things, and also retweet things from my second channel stuff if you're interested in the more reviews there. Alright, have a good day. Bye.